This is Chris Evans from Architecting IT, and I'm here today with Matt Watts, Chief Evangelist at NetApp. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing very well, Chris. Good to be able to talk to you today.
So I'd like to talk about technology, Matt, and how that works with hybrid and on-premises cloud. This is an interesting area because obviously, most people focus on the technology side of things. And in terms of implementation, I think certainly from NetApp's perspective, we've seen two models. There's the sort of CVO model and there's the CVS model, and they're slightly different. There's good reasons between why those particular models are actually being chosen. Can you just take us through the two different models and what the differences are between the two of them?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of third party and first party. So what we see a lot of different use cases for cloud, and I think one of the ones is that people are just looking at, I've got an enterprise application, and behind that is a reference architecture where we've certified all kind of elements within the stack, the operating system level, the storage operating system level. But I want to be able to take that to the cloud for test development, or even just actually we want to run that as a SaaS platform now and deliver that to our users. And that's, I think, where CVO comes in, because with CVO it's a virtual version of ONTAP running inside the cloud where you have that control over exactly what release it is that you want to be able to use. So you retain a level of kind of infrastructure as a service, that level of control in the cloud. Whereas CVS, which is actually it has several versions depending on which cloud. FSX for ONTAP in Amazon, ANF, which is for Azure. In that case, you just want a volume. You don't care about all of the physical attributes of the technology that sits behind it. You just want a volume with a capacity, a level of performance, of protection, and that's a first party service, which again, we're seeing a lot of appeal for, because there's a lot of times when people go to the cloud and they want to use the native first-party services inside those clouds, particularly for data, which is persistent and potentially is going to be in that cloud for a long, long time into the future.
So I think the idea of separating the two is important. So let's put CVO to one side because I think we can sort of see the use cases for that. And let's talk about the sort of CVS type model, the integration directly within the cloud. Now, there aren't any other vendors who are natively integrated into the cloud the way that NetApp are. And I think there's a lot of benefits for that. So for instance, I see that I'm offloading all of the issues around maintenance, upgrades, patching to you as a vendor. Now okay, great, wonderful. It saves me a lot of work. But actually there's more than that, because it means now that you as the vendor can innovate. You can bring new features to the solution. I don't have to take an upgrade to do that. I just get an email that says, yeah, that feature's now available to me on this platform. So there's an opportunity for you to innovate and for me to offload a lot of the sort of mundane tasks, perhaps, that I would have done if I was a storage administrator.
Yeah, exactly that, Chris. And that's the cloud model, isn't it? It's exactly
Yeah.
what you've said. A reason people went to Office 365 or Microsoft 365, there was lots of reasons, but one of them is I've always got the latest. Whenever there's a new feature, a new capability, a new level of security, it's there. It's instantly available. It's instantly applied. We're instantly using it. And that's I think what people are looking for from storage in the cloud as well. In most cases, is I just want to store the data, but if there are new features and new capabilities, then I don't want to have to plan for when do we upgrade that, when do we make that available. That is the cloud model. It's just as new things become available, enhancements, security, whatever, I just want that to be readily available to me for when I'm ready to be able to adopt it. But I don't want to have to go through the step of, we need to upgrade the storage.
I think it sort of passes back a lot of the responsibility that we would have done as storage administrators. For instance, we would have looked at things like performance. We would have looked at trying to find those corner cases where things weren't quite working the right way. And you'd spend hours and hours and hours of time. They'd become real sinks to you that you'd never get back. And certainly a lot of the time you'd possibly never find the answer to, because it was just a transient issue related to an application. So there's a huge amount of overhead that it really eliminates, and it allows the storage administrator to go off and do something much more useful. But from a customer perspective, I think there's a massive benefit here. And that's, as a user of something that's natively integrated into, say, an Amazon platform, I can now use native storage security features. I can now integrate with other applications. I can look at AI. I can really sort of use this technology more natively with the features that are available on the cloud.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. And one of the things is, once you have a kind of a shared storage platform in the cloud, whether that's FSX or whether that's ANF, it means you can then expose that data to any application that you want to be able to use to be able to innovate and kind of create value from it. That's interesting for me. It's the kind of the evolution of the storage administrator, which is, we need to release some tasks, the kind of the upgrades, those kind of things that we've typically done on premises. We need to let go of that, because actually our role is how do we use the services that we're now kind of developing and building to create enhanced value for the people that are going to consume them.
Yeah, so if I was a modern storage administrator, I think I'd be looking and saying to customers, not tell me what you want and I'll deliver it to you. I'd be looking at it and saying, well, actually, tell me what your requirements are now from a technical perspective, and I'll tell you how you can best use a combination of what we can offer you on premises or the cloud. So rather than actually saying, yeah, I'm afraid the only thing I've got in my bag to give you today is storage sitting in the data center, I can actually look at it and say, well, actually, no, we can do a lot more for you than that. We can give you something that might be more flexible around cost, around deployment, around services. And so now you're building out a portfolio of services that encompass both on-premises and cloud, and your value to the business becomes much more useful than just that gatekeeper around delivering some technology.
Yeah, and that's sort of it's an interesting part to the discussion, isn't it, Chris? Is that you're now sort of going to say, well, what do you need? And now is I can make the decision as to do that. Do we do that within our own data center using the technologies that are available? Do we make it a more kind of augmented hybrid model? Because actually some of the things you're telling me are short-term requirements. So let's, burst out to the cloud to be able to do those things. Or should you actually do this cloud natively? And I think having a consistent storage plane that sits underneath all of that means it's very easy to make that decision and know that the values that the storage offers, which it does, snapshots and snap restore and cloning and all of those things, it can offer those regardless of what model it is that you choose to put behind the application that you're looking to deploy.
Yeah, so this isn't just about saying we've just got some different technology. This is about use cases, this is about applicability, this is about how you actually use the technology in your business. And I think that whole side of it is a much more interesting discussion, as well as the things we've already discussed. The ability to offload a lot of those mundane tasks and allow the vendor to iterate. So I think people shouldn't just look at this and think, well, okay, you're giving me something I don't know how to use or I don't really want, because it can be fully integrated with your existing processes, and you can use it just like you use your storage today. What the storage administrator is giving you is choice, and ultimately, as an end user, as a business, having choice means you can be more flexible with the way you work. So I really like the idea that the hybrid model can really be positive from a technology side of things.
Yeah, completely agree, Chris.